So in this video, I actually want to talk to you about why professors are denied tenure. And this is a big thing that we actually often have to deal with when we're going through this. And it's not a really fun thing for us to actually have to deal with. So if you don't know me, I am Professor Dave Massack. I'm Associate Professor of Innovation Strategy and Entrepreneurship. And I created this whole reciprocity project to give back as much as I possibly can. There's so many people to help me out that I wanted to pay the favor for to help you out. So I am tenured, but I very much feel this to this day in terms of the pressure that you feel when you could be denied tenured, and it's really not a good feeling in any sort of way. The biggest reason why, and I want to point out, if you are at this moment where you're stressing out about it, just try to think about you as a person rather than the actual things that you've tried to accomplish until then. And I just wanted to say, I really feel for you at this moment if you're going through this. So, the biggest reason why professors actually get denied tenure is because of their research productivity. So what does that actually look like? It's not necessarily your productivity per se, as people would sort of think about, like in terms of what you've done or, how much you've worked. That's totally a myth. What it is actually the number of journal publications that you actually have and the quality of those journal publications. So those two things are really important. At higher tiered schools, the sort of quality of the publication matters more than the number. And, it sort of trades off with that. And so what is quality? Hard to put your finger on what exactly quality is, but it's really, a measure of how many people actually read your work and think that you're doing interesting things. But it's not only that, but it is like who is actually reading it and saying that that is an interesting, what you're doing is really interesting. That's very, very important in terms of, this upward mobility and status. And that's what schools are looking for, is upward mobility in terms of their institution. And the more that you can demonstrate that, the more that people sort of recognize you. It's a total popularity game, right? So the more that people recognize you, the more that people are going to say, hey, this person should be given tenure. So it's more of it's a group effort across different institutions where people get together. And you really have to imagine this as a group effort where they think that you're valuable enough to be actually given tenure at your own institution, but you can get tenure at anywhere other different institutions, particularly those that are higher ranked. In that really matters, right? And so what they're looking for is, are you representing your university, your institution well in terms of what you are generating? And if you can demonstrate that, then you're more likely to get tenure. And if you can't, and I know it's a really squishy thing, and that's the problem with tenure, then you might not get tenure, and that's unfortunate. So what actually happens if you get denied tenure? So this is actually a plus, other than the social stigma and all of the things that are baked into it, where you get stressed out and all of those kind of things, and you carry that mark for the rest of your life, which is not a fun feeling. However, financially rationally, it is probably better for you to actually not get tenure often, because you can go to a different institution, often with a raise, because you're moving. So the one thing that actually happens in universities that are really strange is wage inversion. So the longer you stay at your institution, you actually get penalized for doing that. So one way that you can actually increase your wages is to move around. And at that stage, it is a forced move for you to move around. Now, I know it's kind of tricky to sort of imagine that and think about that, but that is very much what happens in almost all fields. And when you move, you often can get a higher salary simply because the market has moved beyond the salary that you got at that time. So, and then the other thing that ends up happening is, maybe you go to a lateral move, or a move that's below an institution that's below what you're doing. Then you have a better chance of actually getting tenure at that moment, in the next go round. And I know it's stressful and nobody likes it, but it could work out. 9 times out of 10 is probably going to work out better for you. And the other thing to remember, if you get denied tenure, is because you haven't been able to demonstrate your value to the people that are at your institution, and so they're probably always going to discount you anyway. So if you got tenure at that institution, you're probably going to be discounted no matter what, and it's probably not a good solution for you anyways. So imagine that and think about it in terms of what you're doing. You want to be, given tenure in the sense that people actually really like what you're doing. So because then you have colleagues that actually care about you rather than colleagues that are not doing great things for you. So with that, give me a thumbs up, do subscribe to the YouTube channel. Take care and have a wonderful day. Bye.